Hi. Hi. How are you?
Awesome.
Awesome. You just had a birthday. That was cool.
Yes, I did. I turned 37. I aged just like cheese.
I don't think you're aging like cheese. I
Yes,
think
I
you're
get
way
better.
nicer than cheese. Old cheese is
Doesn't it taste better as it gets older? Like Gouda? Or is it wine I'm thinking of? Wine tastes better.
I think some people like old cheese. Speaking of old cheese, I'm Final Girl M. This is Katrina Mondragon, and this is an atypical recording for us. I am doing a little Halloween costume. By the time you watch this, it will be Halloween. But today,
festive.
It is October 16th. Today is October 16th, and why am I painting my face entirely on October 16th? Well, I'd be so happy to tell you.
Maybe because I decorated my house and it looks amazing.
It does. I need to do my home decor.
And because my house looks like that, we're going to have to go over there and take pictures.
We are for sure going over there to take pictures.
Let's see if I have a nighttime picture. I do have a nighttime picture. There's the nighttime picture.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Just good stuff. As to why though, I am painting my face today. I am painting my face today as we discuss in some upcoming episodes or already released episodes. I don't even know where we're at in our timeline. It's a goal that I set at the beginning of the month to improve my general mental health. So far, working fabulously. I'm a real big fan of it. I think it's great.
31 costumes in 31 days.
31 costumes in 31 days. You can go check it out on my TikTok or my Instagram. But that said, it has spurned a thought process for me, which is that I'm often bogged down in thinking of all of the things that I can't do. Right? And I tend to forget the many things that I can do. Right? So physical limitations, etc. I can't do a lot of things I would love to do. I would love to be on the actual stage doing theater, etc., etc., etc. Right? At this point in my life, I'd love to be a professional wrestler, but I can't do that. Right? Physicality wise, I would never make it. But there are things I can do. I can do 31 costumes in 31 days. I can make funny videos. I can involve my kids in the process and have them record me. All of these different things.
I always noticed that you had a cameraman.
I did have a cameraman. I did. That cameraman was my young man that I created my very self. Yes. Who noticed?
I guessed it was the middle child. My girlfriend.
I like it. She too has done some filming. She did my Alexa Bliss cosplay filming for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I've involved the kids at this point. I'm involving you today, which is great. We're gonna go use your scenery over there. But what I'm getting at here is that what is the reason? What is the reason that we spend so much time, just in general, people? Why do people spend so much time thinking about the things they can't do instead of the things that they can do?
It's called a filter.
Okay.
I think there's a cognitive distortion when people have a lot of wins and then they focus on that one loss. That's called a mental filter or a negative filter or a positive filter, depending on how you want to look at it. Glass half full, glass half empty, whatever. But let's say that I'm a straight A student and I get a D on a paper. Now my whole world comes crushing down because I got that one D.
Oh yeah, I know exactly how that.
That's just filtering out the positives. And that's not helpful. And so what you're doing is acting the opposite. And that's very useful. By looking at all of the things that we can do, we can get dressed up, we can make silly videos, we can dye our hair, we can do a lot of things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we can move our bodies to the extent at which they'll allow.
Yeah, no, I will take 2 5-minute recordings and live off of them for the entire day. I'll make so many videos off of those 5 minutes I spent outside before sitting directly back down again. Keep that in mind when you look at someone and you're like, you don't look sick to me. Well, I can look not sick for 45 seconds anytime I want to, or for an hour or for a day or something along those.
And then it takes time to recover.
And then it usually takes me 2 or 3 days to recover. She won't hear from me for a couple of days after I go to do something because I won't be awake for any significant portion of time. No, that's a fact. So why do how does one develop these negative cognitive filters?
I think it's a nature-nurture combo. Like,
Really?
It's a combination of our biopsychosocial development. So if we have our neural development that's just naturally wired to negativity, more people are more neurotic sometimes. That's just nature. And then nurture. So if somebody's always telling you, then that's something that can be developed. I think so. It's a combination of it can be in you, and then it can also be put on you. And let's say that you had both. Let's say you come out a little bit neurotic and then somebody tells you a bunch of negative stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Then you got a double whammy of neuroplasticity firing those neurons that are not so helpful, saying you're not doing enough. Or like, in terms of like focusing on the negative, I'll give you an example of, I know I took an ADHD test one time and I got all but 2 wrong. And I was so impressed with myself. I did focus on those 2 that I got wrong.
Yeah.
And I was like, I did really well, and that but is that filter, that filter of like filtering out the positives.
I did really well, but it could have been better.
Exactly.
You could have done better. Whoever's voice popped into your head when I said could have been better, I think that's probably where we developed those. Because I certainly have one.
And that's not necessarily any like person or entity or anything. Sometimes people can develop a way to see that inner critic that is useful to them to combat them. And so like some people with bipolar, for example, will see mania as like that little Stitch guy from Lilo and Stitch. And so that little Stitch running around, that's the mania guy. And you don't have to be nice to him, but you can be. And you can have like a little Stitch that he is.
I like it. I like that. I like that general idea. Your badness level being really high today is what pops into my mind when you said that, because I think about that all the time when I'm talking to my youngest, and the scene from Lilo and Stitch where Lilo's looking at Stitch and she's got the crayon drawing and Stitch is right there and she's like, Stitch, your badness level really high today. Can you bring that back down again? Yeah, no, I could see where if you were referring to your mania as Stitch, I love makeup because then every time I make a face, it's like, oh, and I hate it because it makes my teeth look real yellow. Because they are. Because they are. That said, though, how would one, other than challenging themselves with something utterly silly, how would one combat those negative filters?
A variety of ways. It's really any which way that you prefer to learn, because a lot of times if it is learned, like if it is something that was more nature or nurture than nature, if it was something that was learned, it can absolutely be unlearned. And so let's say that if it was just a neural pathway that got like habitually burned into the brain, then the other habit can be burned into the brain.
The other habit can be burned into the brain.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, I can do hard things.
I can do hard things is one of my favorite things to say. I can do hard things, but also burning new habits into your brain, that takes like what, 3 days?
28
days.
I don't know if that's
for
true.
Small children. It takes about 3 days. If you do something consistently in a row for 3 days with your small child, on the 4th day, they are prepared.
I've done it way more than 28 times if you're doing it over 3 days with a small child.
Yeah.
Because they say consistency, or the habit is formed after 20 or 30 times of doing it consistently. If you're doing something with a toddler, you're doing it like 10, 15 times in a day.
We should probably do an episode where I tell everybody my 3-day potty training method then, because I disagree. I disagree. I can have never potty trained a child before, and by the 3rd day, they will go to the bathroom.
But how many times would you say that you've engaged in education in those 3 days?
Prior to that moment, none.
Not prior to. I'm talking about during, like, just in the first day. Would you say 1 time, or would you say 10 times in that 1 day?
Oh, all day.
That's my point.
Yes, you have to do it all day.
That's my point. So you're squishing that 28 habit into a short amount of time. There's no reason that you can't do that. There's no reason you can't do that. Consistency doesn't have to be over time. I mean, that is how trust is developed, consistency over time. But a habit can be developed in a short amount of time. Sure.
Okay. So tell me then, so
like kicking the nicotine habit can be done in 3 days. That's the physiological time. That's the length of time it takes to get the nicotine out of your system is 3 or 4 days.
I think it was about 3 days for me, and then I just didn't want it anymore. Yeah. And I was good. I was fine. Every once in a while, I'll want a cigarette just mentally. I'll miss that kind of release of when I would smoke. And then I just go do something else, because I think one of the biggest things that helped me quit was the realization that I was out in the living room with my kids, or I was in the house during a moment and not smoking a cigarette.
You bring up a good point, though. Go do something else.
Yeah.
When one has that mental filter of focusing on the negative over the positive, go do something else.
Go do something else.
Step outside, touch some grass, spin in a circle, hula hoop, do some jumping jacks. Move your body out of its environment, and shit will shift. Like, that's just how it works.
I really like that.
Don't know why.
Move your body out of its environment. Brilliant.
And shit will shift.
Shit will shift.
Inside you. I mean, like, it really will. Whether it's in your mind or your body, it just kind of shifts around.
Yeah.
And if you wiggle a little bit, it works too. The whole body shake is a really good one for anxiety.
Now, I wholeheartedly disagree with this trend I've seen recently of people posting like dancing videos, and the caption they choose to use is "depression can't hit a moving target." That's wrong. I disagree. I think Anthony Bourdain, who traveled the world eating snacks, would disagree. I think that, Robin Williams, who made all of the movement, would firmly disagree with that. I think depression can hit a moving target quite well.
I do get their point, though. Do you?
I do. So I was going to say, depression can hit a moving target, but it doesn't stick.
Yes.
It can't stay around.
All emotions shift.
Uh-huh.
And so if you're not liking how you feel, wait a week.
Uh-huh. Now, if you're feeling 14 different ways within a day, though, go get a little evaluation, baby. There's a different scenario. That's not what she means. But we still love you. And I love you.
No judgment.
No judgment. I don't say that to be judgmental at all. I'm saying that, and that's a good one. That's a good unlocking of the mind. What is an appropriate amount of moody?
Everybody has moods.
Everybody has moods. But you just said something that I think I can think of several people who would say a week, try a couple hours, try 15 minutes. Like, as to if you're feeling something and you don't like it, wait and it will change. So it is entirely true it will change because, as we've discussed before, so much of our feelings are influenced by chemical processes inside of our minds and things along those lines. But there is criteria that says if your mood is changing in a rapid fashion, then
are you talking like rapid cycling bipolar?
Rapid cycling bipolar, or borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder. I can think of quite a few of them where they're like, one of the categorical definitions of the disorder is that your mood is changing very rapidly.
Disruptive mood dysregulation disorder.
Sure, that's one.
Intermittent explosive disorder.
Intermittent explosiveness. There's See, I already said histrionic. I think we could probably rattle off 20 or more, but that is a
But basically,
red flag.
Emotional dysregulation to the extreme is what you're talking about.
Yes.
Like, and so I would say that the line where you draw the line in the sand is, are you being interrupted? Are you being interrupted with what you're trying to do at work, at school, with your social life? If what you are doing is being interrupted by your emotional dysregulation, maybe go talk to someone.
I like that.
If it's not a problem, it's not a problem.
All right.
Because everybody gets moody, and a lot of people get moody like certain times a month, certain cycles of the moon, Mercury goes into retrograde, like different things cause different people to feel different types of
I've
way.
never been in a relationship I haven't wanted to end on my period.
There you go.
Never, ever, ever. I know this about myself, which is why I just flat out will not argue with someone if I am on my period, relationship or not. I try to avoid arguing with my children. I am a self-aware psycho. And then I know that at least once a month, I don't even have a uterus
That's
anymore.
called a pattern of association that you recognize. And recognizing that pattern of association, I say that like there is no change without awareness. So knowing something is like half the battle. It doesn't make you feel better though. Like I like to tell people that are self-aware, like it's not going to make you feel better to know this about yourself.
Oh, the curse of self-awareness. What a wonderful thing to say to somebody who bears the curse of self-awareness. And I will call it that because it absolutely is. You know, you can seek help when you're self-aware and people tell you you've got such a great grasp on the situation. You know, I feel terrible. I feel terrible for complaining about something that other people seek.
I wonder if those clinicians that you worked with were just a little green, because they're impressed at your insight. Sounds like they're just impressed, and that's just their own personal like thing.
I think that that's happened to me before. Yes. I would push it out now and say that I saw a clinician who could have been my grandmother, at one point in time. I have noticed this not only with myself and my personal experiences, but in our work when I am kind of just exploring the material on our Instagram or something, when I'm seeing people's videos about therapy, about the experience of going to therapy, private practice, having a private practice, et cetera, et cetera. And the self-aware client is such a controversial topic. It feels like every time I see a video like that, some of them have even been hateful. Just the idea of what are you even doing here if you already know? Like,
wow.
So like, well, what I'm doing here is trying to do better because I know, but it's still not working, you know?
Right.
Like,
just because one is aware doesn't mean it doesn't suck.
Yeah. That's where your quote always tickles my brain.
Oh, that just because it could be worse doesn't mean it doesn't suck.
Just because it could be worse does not mean that it does not suck. It does suck. It sucks, and you're valid, and you know you should.
And that's where I think all feelings are valid, but feelings are not facts. So I can feel some type of way, and that's not a fact of the world around me.
No, it's not. It's not a fact of the world around you. And you can feel some type of way and have everybody disagree with that, but you don't need to argue with them about that because you feel how you feel, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get bogged down in that too.
So maybe this can be cut, but you can feel like somebody is having a sin, and that's what this Kaylee Childs person with the Supreme Court conversion therapy is. She feels like these people are sinning, right? That doesn't make it any less of a fact that conversion therapy is introgenic.
Yeah. And for those of you following along at home like myself, intergenic means causing all the harm.
Like it can cause anxiety, it can cause depression, it can cause other illnesses. And why would you want that? Why would you want to risk that, I guess? Why would you want to risk causing something worse just to the hopes to be straight?
Yeah, and being straight's not that great anyway. Like, it's not all that. I mean, I've done both. I'm uniquely qualified. Bisexuals, we're qualified. We're qualified, and we are experienced. Okay, and I can tell you, with my experience and qualified opinion, there's nothing. You're not winning a lottery. Life doesn't get easier. People don't suddenly get nicer. The sky doesn't get bluer. The rainbows do not come out. I don't really understand, other than the fact I know that people who find out their children are different from themselves often experience fear at the quality of life their child is going to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I empathize with that. And I understand. Okay.
It can be easy.
But to live is to fear.
Right.
You cannot go seek life without that fear.
And having fear and showing up anyway is called courage.
I don't understand why they think the gay experience is so bad.
Well, if you look at it through a certain lens, I think that's why.
Interesting.
If you look at the world through any lens, like right now, my glasses, I think I'm nearsighted. So when I don't have my glasses on, I'm seeing through the lens of my eyes, which are distorted. I put on my glasses and then I have 20/20 vision. Mm-hmm. So the lens through which I'm seeing the world is altered to make it match what everybody else sees.
Okay.
So let's say that I see the lens through a religious lens. Let's say that I see the world through God's lens. And then I put everything into theology. Everything is a theology.
Okay.
And if you look at the definition of theology, it's actually the study of the nature of religion or something like that. Or the state of, oh my goodness, now I got to Google it because I don't want to give that inaccurate definition. So, theology definition is the study of the nature of God and religious belief. That's according to Oxford Language Dictionaries. And so that is what the definition of theology is. But if I have that religious lens on, say my GOD, good orderly direction lens is on, then I'm going to see everything as a theology. That's going to cloud my vision towards other perspectives.
Yeah.
Depending on which God I believe in. And then also flip that. Let's say I don't believe in anything. Let's say I'm atheist. Okay. And then I'm seeing the world through a lens of an atheist and nothing exists. And I don't believe anything that you have to say because whatever my reasons may be. And then there's this middle ground of agnosticism. I don't know. And if you look at the Latin definition of agnostic, it is without knowledge. Mm-hmm. That I would say is the most open-minded, potentially. Only
I have identified as agnostic before.
Well, the general colloquial term that people get is that it's somebody who believes in God, but not necessarily knowing, thank you, which God is what.
Gotcha.
But I think of it more in the literal definition of being without knowledge, in terms of like we are the energy beneath the meat suit, and we do not know scientifically what happens to energy when we demise, when we go, but like we leave the meat suit, sure, but that energy doesn't just poof disappear, we're gone, but we don't know what happens.
We don't know.
If I'm looking through the world through a lens of religion, maybe we go to heaven. And if I'm looking through that lens and you're gay, you're going to hell.
So you think for most it is a fear of eternal
damnation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I conscribe to that,
I'll give you one more lens.
I could see it.
Because I gave you 3 lenses. There's another lens that doesn't often get talked about. Mm-hmm. And that's the trauma lens. If somebody sees the world through the distorted lens of trauma, sometimes things are scary that ought not be scary.
That makes sense.
The touch of a loved one. A certain song on the radio. The smell. Things that we call triggers can elicit undesirable responses, and that trauma can be affecting the present And that's where the post-traumatic stress stuff comes in. But if you're seeing like a trauma lens, that's a distorted view of the world that can be not corrected. I don't think that's the right word. It can be cleared up the way that, like, I take my glasses, there's some smudges on there, I clear up some of the smudges, and then I can see a little more clearly through my glasses. And so if you think of it like that, I've even heard of various combinations of therapies and medications in order to heal from trauma. I think I've said this before, post-traumatic stress is not a life sentence.
Right. I that's one thing I wish that would be more publicized, is that your PTSD diagnosis is not permanent. It does not have to be permanent.
Right.
May you possibly experience symptoms? Sure. But are you guaranteed to? No. I think a lot of people don't know that, and I think they get bogged down in the idea that they are now
Awesome.
thank you so much. They are now saddled with a permanency of trauma, and that's not fair. That's not fair to them. That's not fair to yourself if you were thinking that. You can change. You can neuroplastic. You can neuroplastic yourself.
There's also, you mentioned change. There are those who don't want that.
Right.
And I do firmly believe that treatment is a choice. Not everybody wants to feel better.
Not everyone wants to change. Not everyone wants to feel better. It is a choice. I had something I was going to ask you about, and it could even be.
Should we save it for the next one? Because we're gonna...
Oh, watch our shorts. There will be shorts.
Well, maybe label this one 31 and 31.
Thank you for joining us today on Therapy Unlocked. We'll see you soon. Bye.